Person, a public awareness engagement platform will be launched tomorrow. The aim is to make financial literacy learning a lifestyle for the ordinary folk. Well, earlier we spoke to Sikhumbuzo Thabede, who is a financial literacy analyst.
There is a thing about inclusion. Melrose Arch is almost like an exclusive space. Also trying to get to include black people into it mostly, which because actually that's our target audience. That, you know, the spaces that are mostly regarded as exclusive spaces, let's also try and open them, because if actually you can, all it takes is that you book the venue and then you invite the people to actually come to that environment.
You're not worried about your intended targets though?
No, we're not worried about our intended targets, because our actually target audience is actually the middle class and the working class. And these are the people that would ordinarily be working in those areas anyway.
All right. Tell us about the name Sikhumbuzo. What does it mean? So
Sikhumbuzo, it is a combination of Fin for finance, obviously, and then Uwezo is a word that we borrowed from Swahili, which is Uwezo, which actually means capability. Which then, because the idea of the event, of the project, it is to build financial capabilities. So it actually made so much sense after having to think about the name, what do we name this vehicle? And also in Nguni languages, Uwezo means helping someone get across Uwezo Muntu, or help someone across the river, across the road, or you name it.
All right. So what are you hoping to teach the people who come through tomorrow?
So we're hoping that we can actually just get deeper into the conversation of financial inclusion, because there is also financial inclusion, financial literacy. These are the words that get used willy-nilly, but we don't really know the meaning of these words. So first we're going to be defining that. What is it? What does it mean? What is financial literacy? And also, what is financial inclusion? Maybe just to go briefly on financial inclusion. Financial inclusion is measured on 3 dimensions. First one is access to financial products and services, which would be the availability and the appropriateness of those services. Secondly, it is the usage. How are we using them, those financial products and services? And thirdly, it is the quality of those financial products and services. And in locally, talk about also the education. As you know, that the financial sector is actually by law, by regulation, required to teach us as consumers on the type of products that exist within the sector, so that they can help us choose wisely. So education will actually fall within quality, because it is the role of the FSPs.
I actually wanted to say those 3 elements you mentioned. South African citizens are challenged on all 3. Definitely.
Because also if you look at it from a macroeconomic level, high poverty levels in South Africa, and you also look at unemployment, in the Q2, unemployment surged. So that would actually mean that a number of people are economically excluded. Once you're economically excluded, it means you're financially excluded. And there's another thing also in South Africa which is very different, because so financial inclusion gets measured in many ways by different organizations. Some actually premise it purely on access to banking products. But South Africa...
that has been the big conversation.
Exactly. And because 80% of the population in South Africa actually have bank accounts, if you look at, for example, because a number of people would be...
What percentage?
80%.
Really?
Yes. And why
so there has
is
been an improvement?
There's been an improvement. I think in 2017 must have been 77%. And one of the reasons why this is happening is that because of the social grants, there's a number of people that actually are getting their social grants through the...
So they got bank accounts through a technicality.
Yes, through technicality. But there's a thing about these bank accounts. As much as there is 80% that actually have, of the population has access to bank accounts, about 40% of those are dormant accounts. And dormant would include mailbox accounts, which is an account where money comes in, we throw it immediately at the same time. And some of them would be actually those accounts that would be used less than 3 times a month. So that means that people actually don't even have money to actually to use those bank accounts.
But they still have to pay the charges.
And the biggest challenge here is that we often, as consumers, choose, for an example, check accounts. And if you've got a debit order of 49 rands, and it bounces because you don't have money in your account, you get charged 150 and above just for not being able to pay your debit order. Can you imagine how? And these are conversations that we want to actually have.
But that conversation you're having is about the operational side. What are you going to be teaching people coming through about how to own wealth?
So in our panel, we've got, actually it's a dialogue. in our panel, we've got, excuse me, we've got people that are, coming from, stokvels who are right now starting to do your property stokvels.
Yeah.
And also we've got a guy who's Zarif, who's actually coming from a generational wealth creation. And we're talking about some of the tips, some of the things that we could do, because there's a thing, we also need to separate issues.
We can have a conversation about generational wealth with black people.
Yes, we can. You can, definitely.
Tell us about it.
You can have that conversation, because there's a thing that we are not using. There's a lot of information, excuse me, that exists. I mean, if you look at, for an example, the youth in South Africa, about 90% of our youth actually have access to phones, to cell phones, to mobile phones. But what kind of conversations are actually taking place there?
The question I'm asking you is, how do you have a conversation about generational wealth when generations have not had access to wealth?
True. It
almost seems like a disingenuous conversation.
So the first part to it, we need to start, actually this is how we actually even phrased it, is that we need to start at personal finance management, manage your finances properly. And then from personal finance, we then move into what is wealth?
I'm told we're running out of time, so let's just give our viewers details about the event.
So the event is taking place on the 26th, which is Saturday, tomorrow, in Melrose Arch. It starts at 10 o'clock up to 4 o'clock. And one of the things that we'll be looking at, we'll be talking about, the issue of the state of financial literacy in South Africa. I mean, as you know that, and I mean, even our schooling system doesn't have financial literacy as part of their curriculum.
The details about how to get through?
To get through, you can actually go through via web tickets, and also tickets are available via Pick and Pay, and also you could also access our tickets via our website, which is www.fin-uwezo.com.